Don't ride here. Ride here. Explore new horizons with Moto Freight. Proud sponsors of Under the Visor.
Hi, I'm Roddy Warriner of Motor Freight. What I do is, running Motor Freight along with Kathy and Tim, and our job is just making sure that travellers get their bikes as best they can and keeping their journeys safe and secure as best we can. And we monitor our customers' travels around the world. We keep our eye on just in case they need repatriation. And that's what I did yesterday. We had went through about 100 files of travellers, customers who are still on the road, and just checking where they are and how they're progressing, and sort of being fairy godfather, I suppose. That's part of what I enjoy doing most, but I also enjoy just meeting and greeting the travellers as they come in. I like travelling myself, so I relate very much to all our travelling customers, whether it's short trips, big trips. They all have their own story if they've done a trip, and if they haven't, I always look forward to listening to the story when they get back. I started biking, my first big bike was a Suzuki GT550, which I'll proclaim that to be my first adventure bike, because that was a bike I loved to bits. And I just suddenly realised I could go anywhere. It's a street bike, but I could go anywhere. I could do anything on the bike. My 10-mile to work commute, I added 40 to 50 miles a day each way just to be on the bike. And during that time, there was in a magazine, there were two Italian guys, one on a Moto Guzzi, one on a Ducati, did Cairo to Cape Town. And at that time, in Sudan, there were no roads. And they crossed the Sahara, apparently with 2-meter poles, striped poles, every 2 kilometers through the desert. And their story is they had to have a compass. You pointed yourself at the next pole, and if you drove 2 kilometers and didn't find it, you turned back while your tracks were still in the sand. And there are no petrol stations. They had a 500-mile trip on 2 normal street bikes, and they covered the distance by towing each other. One towed until he ran out of petrol, then they swapped bikes. And I thought, what an amazing story. I must do that. My ambition was to cross the Sahara. And having done lots of smaller trips, finally, a friend of mine a few years ago, and 2 of us crossed the Sahara Desert, north to south, on 2 GS adventures. Very, very different to no roads. There's good roads now everywhere. There's full phone signal, and but we did it. There were sandstorms. It was a big adventure, totally out of comfort zone. But by the same token, every night when we stopped, accommodation was 3-star or better, first class wine, good food. I love adventure biking. It's really fun. But bottom line is we did it. It was a few thousand miles north to south across the Sahara, and that was my ambition, and I did it. And I love Africa. I travelled in southern Africa. The wife and I, a few years ago, sent the GS out to Los Angeles, and we did a round trip around Utah, Arizona, basically all the desert regions. I prefer desert, maybe because it rains less, I'm not sure. But yes, and whenever possible, I just jump on the bike and head to the Alps or any mountains just for a bit of fun. That's not really adventure, it's just fun. But when I can, I'll go and look forward to stretching myself beyond my comfort zone as well. Having worked in freight all my life, and being a biker, I used to ride the bike magazines, and there were adverts saying Fly Ride Canada, Fly Ride USA. And I looked at the prices to rent a bike, to fly out, pick up a bike in Canada or the USA, and I worked out that then, this was going back to when the exchange rate on the dollar was 2 to 1, it's now 3 to 1 rather, and it was a 2-week break point. Now it's about a 3-week break point. If you're going for 3 weeks or longer, it's actually as affordable to take your own bike, and especially for longer, and if you're crossing borders, so I worked that out. I did some arithmetic, did 6 months worth of research, how to bring the costs down for crating and all that to make anything cheaper, because not everybody has a big budget, and set about and basically broke away from general cargo altogether. Thoroughly enjoyed what I'm doing. At the time there were a few travellers around, adventure travellers, but not as many. That's 10 years ago, and was not as many as there are today. And I'd actually like to think, I know a few tour operators have said because of what we do, we've made some of their tours possible, which weren't previously possible. So just by being there, and personally I've had to fly out to various parts of the world to supervise chartering a plane for the big tour operators, and we just love it. It's a hobby, it's what we do. And more recently, as an Australian tour company, we're in the credits of a movie they produced, and it's a job that we love, just love doing. It's our hobby, it's our bikes, and being with our customers who love being on bikes as well. Missing home, yes, I have a family. Missing home is always a tough one for most people, I think. But I'm quite comfortable with weeks at a time on the road. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with months at a time, but it's actually quite funny because having met lots of travellers, one thing I've observed about travellers is people have been on the road for 4 months or longer. Doesn't matter what their plan was when they set out. If they've crossed the 4-month barrier, their life changes. When they get back, I've met a bank manager on a big salary, spent 6 months on the road, put a suit and tie on when he got back, could not walk into the bank. He went to work for a bike dealership for a fraction of what he used to earn. And we've seen customers who have been clerks or had various businesses of their own, but came back after 4 months, cannot do the same thing. They have to change their life to biking, and I think I've done that. I've changed my life to around biking. I don't like long trips myself. I wouldn't like to cross that 4-month barrier and not come back. I do like having some routes, but I'd like to be able to escape from time to time, just head for the hills, as it were. Most rewarding is the people, meeting the travellers. Meeting them. We have travellers come to us, they just pop in for a cup of tea, and we found 90% of our customers are people we've met. So we go to as many bike shows as we can, Horizons Unlimited, Overland Magazine, and a number of others, where we meet the people, and we like to reassure them that we are bikers ourselves, and basically for them, their adventure starts with freighting their bike, and we can make that easier, and we do. We like to think that we're part of that. And when they come back to us and do it again, and the other thing is we're entrusted. I'm really pleased that people have a lot of faith in us. We're being entrusted to keep quiet. We're very discreet. We have motorbikes that people do not want us to know. They're famous. We've had to keep quiet. We've had for bikes for filming, for very, very valuable bikes. We have customers who trust us with their extremely expensive classics, and they keep coming back, and that is satisfying. I find that really rewarding, that people keep coming back to us and they trust us with their secrets when they're filming and things like that.
Don't ride here. Ride here. Explore new horizons with Moto Freight, proud sponsors of Under the Visor.